My name is Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Women of Inspiration Awards, and this is the Women of Inspiration podcast, where we speak with women who lead, inspire, and motivate. So today's guest, the first of the year, is one you will soon never forget. It is my honor to introduce Danette Burzlaff-Haag. She is also a 2025 Woman of Inspiration Advocate for and Catalyst for Change Awardee. Danette is a woman of inspiration. She is an award-winning author of Beauty from Ashes. She is a mindset coach. She is co-founder of Hero Haven and Miss Colorado for 2021. She is also the first scarred woman to win a state beauty pageant title in the United States. Before the awards, the stage, and the crown, Danette was a 10-year-old girl whose life changed instantly when a single spark triggered an explosion that left her with life-altering injuries and scars that shaped her childhood, her identity, and her resilience. Her journey is one of unimaginable pain, relentless courage, and breathtaking transformation from surviving trauma to leading on towards healing. Through her book, Beauty for Ashes, and her work with the Hero Haven, Danette helps first responders and thousands of others reclaim power, hope, and purpose, providing that scars, seen or unseen, can rise into strength, into light. Today, we go deeper than the highlight reel, and we look forward to welcoming Danette to the Woman of Inspiration podcast. Listeners, get ready to be inspired.
Wow, that was beautiful. What an honor it is to be here, Monica. Thank you.
Well, Danette, it was a pleasure meeting you in person. And, I'm excited about this podcast for so many reasons today. Number one, you've done so much with your life since that 10-year-old girl whose
Mhm.
life changed and didn't even know how it changed in the most tragic but the most beautiful ways. And I want to talk about all those ways today. So let's start from the beginning. Danette, take us back to the story before the titles, the awards, of course, just learning about your journey for the ones that are tuning in today. Take us
Mhm.
back to the day that changed your life forever.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's May 11th, 1981, a day I'll never, ever, ever forget. I grew up on a farm in the country, in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. And we were having a 4-H meeting. So all these girls came to our house that night to just come together in this 4-H organization. And during the meeting, like everything was going well. At the end of the meeting, we were all sitting around the kitchen and we were eating cinnamon rolls, like all the things you can't forget. So cinnamon rolls were baking in the oven. It had filled our kitchen with the scent of Cinnabon, right? Like all we could
My
smell.
favorite.
Oh, was heavenly. And so we were laughing and giggling as girls do. And what we didn't know is there had been an odorless and undetectable gas leak coming from a faulty valve in our furnace. And my dad was down there trying to get the furnace to work. It was a cold night, and our house was chilly, and he couldn't figure out what the problem was. And the company didn't put the odor in, so no one could smell this leak, and not even my dad, who was standing down in the middle of it. My little brother, who was 8 at the time, was downstairs I'm sure, to get far away from all of us crazy girls upstairs, but he was down in the basement as well playing. And when my mom turned on the water to make coffee, the water heater that was across the basement ignited those fumes that had already filled the basement and become a literal bomb that then the fire ignited immediately and followed those fumes. It sounded like a train coming out of our basement. And the next instant it hit us. And it all depended on where we were at in the house in that one very fateful moment in time that depended on, extent of our injuries. And so I was sitting at the end of the kitchen table that was right next to the basement steps. So that ball of fire just exploded out of the basement stairway and engulfed us. And then kind of, there was no more fuel to keep fueling it. And so it exploded out, kind of went up towards the ceiling. And so the girls, the further away from that door you were, the less your injuries. So I was burned nearly 70% of my body, mostly that's 70, so mostly third degree burns as well. So those deep forever scars. My dad was severely burned. My brother was severely burned. There's so many details I could share with you, and I share them all in the book. But even there was so many miracles that happened that night. One of them, and one of the big ones, is we were like this was before 911. This is 81, so it was way long ago. No cell phones, of course. So we had no way of calling, right? We had to somebody had to go to the closest neighbor in order to call because the
They
closest
must
neighbor.
have heard the explosion and thought, what on earth just happened? They probably didn't know what they're walking into.
Right. And so we live on a farm, so it's a distance to even the next closest neighbor. And but anyway, so my dad, and we didn't have escape route, so my dad went back in the house many times, even though he was severely injured, to make sure everyone was out. But it happened at the end of the meeting, and that whole gift of time, sometimes that timing of things is just miraculous. And so we had parents who were just waiting for their daughters to be done and take them home. So we had these ambulances, if you will, and these drivers ready to pile in. There's 27 people in the house.
Oh my goodness.
So there wasn't even enough ambulances in the county to be able to, right? Right? To get us all to where we needed to be. So it was that part, I think, saved my life for sure. Once I was air cared with my dad to a burn center, and within hours, my body started shutting down. They had to do an emergency tracheotomy because I stopped breathing and was in a coma on a ventilator, all those fancy things that nobody wants to go through. And my life changed in that instant, like forever changed. Um,
That is so like hearing that coming from you. It like makes my heart just
yeah.
grasp. Like it just I just
Mhm.
had to reach for a breath because it's so shocking. And like you said, everything happens for a reason. Like you are the universe is looking after you to have those people ready to go. But
Mhm.
I don't even want to think about if they weren't there.
Right.
Especially being in a small town, you probably took up all the beds. Now I want to, do you remember thoughts that were going through your head? It was like, was it a car crash? Your life flashed in front of your eyes. Like, what types of
Mm.
things were you thinking, or what were your first thoughts? Do you remember those?
It was more a state of shock. And I remember sitting in the kitchen after being hit by the fire. Remember, I'm a fourth grader. Like, I'm this teeny little 10-year-old. And my friends are running and screaming, and everybody's trying to get out. And it's like it happened so fast. I had no idea where I was. My kitchen, which was my sacred space, right now, didn't even look like anything familiar. And I remember having to walk slowly, like being very confused about how to even get out. And my spiritual journey started very young, but in that moment was one of the first times I remember hearing this like voice of guidance and guiding me out and showing me where to go. And it was very angelic and life-saving. And what I didn't realize, so then I got out to the front and I stood there on our front steps, like not having even a clue what to do next. And partly why I was so disoriented was because I was on fire and I didn't understand that I was.
Oh my God.
Yes, I was, my clothes, my hair, I was on fire. And I was so in such shock, I had no idea. And then this voice was telling me, go roll on the ground, put out the fire, roll on the ground, put out the fire. And so that was like, for me, a very pivotal experience for my ongoing spiritual journey,
Mm.
because and at a time where everyone had run away and I felt very alone and confused, and how often in life do we feel alone and confused, and this guidance came and just literally saved my life, and woke me up from the darkness and kept guiding me. There was so many parts that I kind of felt like I was even a walking zombie in a way because this was just so unfamiliar. And you think, even on the way to the hospital, I thought, well, this has to be a dream. Like, this can't really be
Mm.
happening. I know I'm in my bed and this has to be a nightmare. And because my injuries were so much more severe, I didn't have as much pain in those first moments because a lot of the nerve endings had been severed. So in those first moments, I wasn't crying and screaming near, but everyone else was. And so I found myself comforting them and thinking that they were worse off than me. Think that nurturing, I'm a nurse by trade. I've been a nurse for a long time, but so my nurturing kind of just kicked in. And it's interesting how that not feeling what they were feeling, but experiencing the trauma and the chaos and the heaviness and all the tears and the lack of being able to control any of it just really affected me too. Like that whole sitting in the trauma and hearing the trauma and the continuing of the trauma and feeling so helpless. And my brain just kind of went to a place that I was really just literally praying it was a nightmare and that I would soon wake up.
And that you would soon wake up from the
Yeah.
nightmare. That was now the beginning of the healing part of your journey.
Yeah.
That, you know, I there's going to be listeners that are going to be shaking their heads going, I've never heard that voice. There's going to be listeners here that are
Yeah.
like, I've heard that voice and I've heard
Yeah.
that voice.
Hmm.
And it's when it comes, you listen.
Right. And that was one of the gifts that I am so grateful for that even as a young girl, I didn't deny it because there were more and then there was more. Um, and I was grateful that I had enough insight to not ignore that voice and call it what it was something divine.
I am a believer. I am an
Mhm.
absolute believer. And I really, truly do believe that the universe was looking for you. Like
Yeah.
you had a bigger purpose.
Yes.
It was, you were chosen to go through the depths of the depths to now create impact in the world. So, Danette, you spent years.
Mhm.
Tell us about those years, surgeries. Like, what was that recovery
Oh
like?
gosh. It was ongoing. It felt like it was never going to end. I had skin graft surgeries from the time I was 10 till I was 20. So over a decade, I was in and out of the hospital having more reconstructive surgeries. The first 3 months, I was literally fighting for my life and having these life-saving skin graft surgeries. And then later, it was just reconstruction. As I grew, the scars would get really tight, and I would become more and more immobile in those areas, and they'd have to cut away the scar tissue and put in um, new skin. And so all that did was just create more scar tissue on my body, because it would just rob the good areas, the untouched areas. I was wearing jeans, so my legs became this ground for harvesting that skin. And so probably two to three times a year, we would be all holiday breaks from school, summer breaks from school. My brother and I would go out to Cincinnati to the Shriners Burns Hospital for Children and have yet another surgery and another surgery. And I had to wear face masks and pressure garments and splints and all these things that helped with from the scars from getting really thick, and it helped with mobility and pliability of the scar tissue. But that intervention in itself was awful. So I'm already like this walking freak show, if you will, because I'm so different, and not just different from what I was, but different from anyone around me, right?
Mm.
Other than my dad and my brother, like I was just this different like monster. And that's what I saw myself as. I just didn't want anything to do with my reflection. And so just the scars were this heaviness. And then I had to wear all this stuff that was supposed to help me, but it just hurt me emotionally more. So it was unimaginable physical and emotional pain that went on. Um, well, I still have the scars today. So
Where
it's been a gradual recovery.
and who are your, I always say there's an inner circle and there's an outer circle, and it's almost
Mm,
like a vacuum. And it's just
mhm.
like, I can count on the number of people on my hands during a certain couple decades of my life
Right.
where it wasn't anybody outside of that circle, very rarely. And so, what was that for you?
I felt like I had no one, but looking back, not no one. I felt like the world was against me. Um, I have my best friend today was my best friend then, if that tells you anything. Um,
Absolutely.
but
And
there
what's her
was
name?
Erica.
Erica,
Erica.
if you're listening, girl, thank you for being a bestie.
She's my everything. She's my sister from another mister. She knows everything about me. But I remember the first 2 years, I would cry myself to sleep every night and I would say the same prayer. I'd say, God, please just take the scars away. I can't do this. It's too hard. It's too heavy. And I would cry myself to sleep every single night. And then after a while, I'd be like, okay, you can't take all the scars. Okay, so can you can you take the ones off my face, like bartering with God? And just I needed some, um,
Wins.
yeah, I couldn't do it. I felt so broken and it felt so heavy, and I just needed a break. What I realized that was like in those first 2 years, like so I was 12, 13. And when I was in my 30s, I looked back on like there was this moment where I heard everyone in my life telling me the same thing. Danette, it's so crazy. I don't see your scars. Danette, you're just so beautiful. I don't even see your scars. And I heard over and over and over again from people I'd known forever, people I just met, I don't see your scars. And that got me to think about this childhood prayer that I had so desperately tear-filled moments with God. And I thought, you know what? God answered my prayer. I thought he deserted me. I thought he couldn't do this. But in the eyes of the people who are meant to be in my life, that close circle of people, the scars have disappeared in their eyes. But I have the gift of being able to use them to validate my words and the wisdom that I share on stages and in my book and with my clients. I still have the opportunity to use them, but I feel like my friends are handpicked by God and because of
Mm.
that. And so, our inner circle ebbs and flows and shifts and changes as everyone evolves, right, through life. But I have these core women that have been there the whole time, and
Beautiful.
it's so great,
Beautiful.
so so great.
Uh, You know, I think that just the smallest of circles, um, it's so hard to,
Mhm.
when you're a public figure, you have lots of friends, lots of acquaintances, but
Right,
there's a really small, and I've talked to so many women, but the higher up you go, or depending on, I mean, there's just, the lonelier it gets
right.
as you succeed, the lonelier it gets. And then you put on top of it something as so deeply personal that
Mm.
not everybody would understand unless they were actually there with you going throughout that journey. Um, and that circle gets even small. So, it's okay. And come to embrace that. What do you think about those small circles? I love them.
I live by them. They have been my surviving skill is to have if you don't have a place where you can be fully vulnerable, a sacred place, and your small circle could be one person or it could be 20. I mean, there's no definition as to how small it is. But the definition of a safe inner circle is just that, being able
Mhm.
to be your authentic self in a vulnerable way, to be able to say, I'm not fine today. I'm not strong today. I don't know where I'm heading, and I need someone to lean on.
You know what that has been, just I'm going to share this, that the women of inspiration that
Mm,
have been telling their stories, that have been recognized, there's a circle that we have with the women of inspiration that
yeah,
is undeniably that safe place where people feel they can really be honest and, just let it
yeah,
go and know that there's, people around that support them up and down and
no
around.
matter what.
And so there's another circle there for
Yeah,
you to
it's
say.
fantastic. How
It's a new
fantastic
one
is
for
that?
you, but
I love
that
that.
circle is there for you. And the more that you talk to the women of inspiration, you'll be
Mm,
like, OMG, like you were so on the money on that one.
mm,
So there's another circle for you.
I love that. Oh, so good to be in it.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about, I mean, Miss Colorado 2021. Like, what was that moment that you decided that you were going to step onto this stage and
Right.
own it?
I know, crazy coconuts, right? So it's Mrs. Colorado, so it's for the married women because
Mrs.
I was older. And so but when I was a little girl, I from as far back as I could remember, I would dress up like Miss America. I would want to I wanted that. I wanted to be in a pageant. I wanted to wear the beautiful gowns and the makeup and the hair and all the stuff. And I mean, I'm a pig farmer from Iowa, so that was just a stretch in itself as that little girl on the farm. But I remember just being so drawn to it. And when you have a dream, it's in you. Like I feel like that dream was planted in me a long time ago because God knew I would need to pick it up again at some point. But going back, I remember when I was 12 and it was a couple years after the fire and we were watching the pageant on TV again. And so my sisters and and I mean, we have one TV and three channels. So there was nothing else to watch. And I just would sit right there in front of the TV, the big console. I would sit there on the carpet right next to it. And I remember getting drawn into it again. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at their gorgeous gowns and all of the things. I wanted that. And you just can't help it. When it's a dream that's inside of you, you just can't help but be drawn to it. But I remember at the same time looking down at my hands, at my forever scars, and thought, well, that's never going to happen for me because none of those women had any scars. Gosh, they didn't even have a zit, right? They had no blemishes, nothing. And here I am covered in scars. And growing up, that just got reiterated in my mind that I couldn't do that because every TV show or movie I saw, the evil characters had scars, the bad guys had scars. Every leading woman or leading man were just gorgeous in every way and were flawless, right? And so this world taught me that I couldn't be beautiful, that I couldn't compete. And so that dream at age 12 just crashed, just like shattered on my carpet right in front. And I was like, well, it's never going to happen for me.
Mm.
And so I put that away, like this is our world, and I wasn't going to be able to have that experience. Um, Fast forward to 2018, I had been speaking for a few years and sharing that I saw myself as flawless. And I believe that flawless is the indescribable beauty that comes from tough experiences, that the scars acquired along the way bring us wisdom and strength and spiritual growth, which is so much more valuable than anything physical. And that our scars make us priceless instead of perfect.
Mm.
So I've redefined flawless. I'm sharing this on stages in front of audiences around the country. And this dream pops up again, this idea to compete. So Mrs. Colorado, it's highly competitive. The winner goes on to compete at Mrs. America in Las Vegas. And then there's also a Mrs. World from there. So I had a friend who was Mrs. Colorado, Mina. She's my podcast partner. And she was 2013, she was Mrs. Colorado. She competed 4 years to get it. She's like, you look at her and she's like, oh, yeah, you belong on a magazine cover. That makes total sense, right? But this dream popped up again as I'm sharing on these stages and telling audiences of people that I see myself as flawless. And then I thought, but I kept pushing that dream away, like, no, thanks. Like you have to wear a swimsuit and heels on a stage. I was like 47 at that time. And I thought, well, no, I'm too old. I've had lots of kids. My body isn't what it used to be. And so I kept pushing away and I was afraid, right? I thought, I don't need that. I know, I mean, I've come to this place of healing. I no longer need that. And I'm standing in front of this audience telling them I see myself as flawless, yet too afraid to show the world how I see myself as flawless. And I thought, I am not being genuine with my words here. And so I had to come up with a way. Like, so then I started praying, like, okay, how do I do this? Like, am I going to be accepted? There's 5 judges in a state competition in beauty, and here I am with a body covered in scars. Look at me, I'm beautiful. It was hard to like figure out how I fit into that scenario. And I
Mhm.
had this, I remember right where I was. I had a vision. I don't know if anybody like has those, but this idea, and I could actually see what was happening. And I saw myself and about 40 women on stage, right? And we're all in our beautiful gowns. And when I looked around, I didn't see myself as the scarred lady in the middle. When I looked around, I saw their scars too. I saw
Mm,
their stories. I saw their pain. I saw their
absolutely.
strength and their triumph, right? Past their pain, whatever their stories are, because pain is pain, scars are scars. We all have them.
Yes.
And so that was the moment that I thought they have scars too. So I belong there. And that experience gave me enough courage to. And I talked to my friend Mina, who I was really hoping she would say, no, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know how you're going to be, you know. And she's like, no, that's an awesome idea. You have to do it. And then I thought, okay, I guess I really have to do it now. So, yeah, so I threw my hat in the ring, and in 2019 I competed, um, and just learning the experience. It's a whole different game, if you will. Like it's a sport in itself, and you have to understand the rules of the sport. And so the first year was learning the rules. The second year, I got a coach and learned so much more. And I won in 2020, which 2020, interesting year for everyone. 2020, our director was able to do it at a drive-in theater. So we filmed it separately, with kind of some separation, and then she showed it on a and crowned my friend who was became Mrs. Colorado 2020 was crowned in a parking lot in a dark parking lot at a drive-in theater. So anyway, but in 20
Incredible.
it was crazy. It was amazing that she could do that. And 2020, I became a semifinalist. So I made the top 12 out of about 40 women. So I competed with nearly 40 women each year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I made top 12. And so the competitor in me, I'm a competitive runner. I'm just got a competitive spirit. I've got 4 brothers, so I'm constantly, I just can't help it. And so I thought maybe I can get closer because I really wanted to validate my words as a speaker and as a coach and through our Hero Haven, just everything that I say, I really wanted to validate it. And I felt like the closer I got to the crown was like validation that our beauty is not, it comes from so much deeper than what we think, than we tend to think. And so in 2021 I competed one more time and I won the dang thing, the whole thing.
Wow.
The
So
whole
Mrs.
thing.
Colorado 2021
Yes.
after 19, 20, 21, like that was a short journey considering
Yeah.
that there's so many other women that do the journey and they
Yeah.
don't win a crown, but you made history.
Yes.
So how did it feel when you actually were crowned and
Oh,
you achieved that goal and you did you realize that you made history off the bat? Did you
I,
realize that it was so
yeah,
significant and powerful, that message?
I did. I knew that if I could win, that it would be historical. Um, I felt so triumphant, and I felt the little broken girl in me feeling it too.
Mm.
It was almost like helping to heal her pain that was still, there somewhere within me. I also won that night Best in Swimsuit. So they have these other awards. And as a kid, being in a swimsuit at the pool, like we didn't go very often because I hated it, because that's where you can't hide. Like you can't hide
Can't
anything.
hide in a swimsuit.
No. And so and we would be swimming, my brother and I would be trying in this, full pool as community pools are. And kids would bump into us as you do and would turn and look and say things like gross, nasty, and just swim away as fast as they could. So I felt so much rejection in a swimsuit. I did other times too, of course, but that was like the where I dreaded, like just dreaded it. And here I was, 50 years old. So I won when I was 50. It was 40 years almost to the week of the
Mm.
fire. And biblically 40 is a symbol, 40 days, 40 nights, a symbol of going through some darkness and coming out triumphant. So I thought how biblically masterful that would be if I could win that year, but that was not up to me, right? So, but winning the best in swimsuit was almost more awe-inspiring for me personally and more healing for me personally because it wasn't like I was the skinniest or the most fit, not by a long shot. And I had the opportunity to talk to some after I won, talk to some of the judges, and they're like, you were just the most confident in your own skin.
Mm.
And that came off as more beautiful. And I think it's the success of any woman. It's it's the journey to accepting yourself, where you're at in this moment, and loving that form of you, right? Finding some love. I have a quote that I created. It's no, I can't.
What
Life's
is
too
that quote?
yes, I'm trying to find life's too short not to love yourself while you're working on yourself. And to me, that's just we have to, like it's essential. And so if you want to feel beautiful in any stage of your life, if any season of your life, no matter what you're going through, the hard or the easy, the failures or the triumph, you have to love yourself along the way. And the judges got that. And not just for me wearing the crown, but for me wearing this title of best in swimsuit, which probably healed that little girl in me, as much as, if not even a little bit more, as that crown did.
So you redefined what
Mhm.
beauty means in 2021 on
Yes.
stage,
Hmm.
excuse me, with the crown.
Hmm.
And so what, how did that redefine the industry?
Mm.
What changes have you seen?
What I see in the people that I get to touch, particularly, well, in the beauty pageant, I mean, I want to just say that a beauty pageant isn't what people think it is when if you've not ever had that experience, especially at this level. And I've only been in this pageant, so I can really only speak to this pageant, but these women are phenomenal, incredible, brave women who just have a heart for good in the world. And I get to be a part of that. And what I love about what I've done is that I get to use it as a tool when I'm in front of audiences and in front of my my clients and through the book too, is just to validate that our brokenness doesn't have the power to bring us down. Our brokenness and what we learn from it actually has the power to bring us above the ashes, to bring us out of that darkness so that we can be triumphant. But we have to learn to see ourselves that way. We have to learn to see ourselves that way. One of the things that I learned along the way was I had the power to take any hard situation and look at it in a good way. I've been stared at every single day of my life for okay, I'm going to lose track, 44 years now. And I I used to want to run away and hide, right? People would
Mm.
stare, it happens all the time. And it wasn't till my mid 30s that I was like, why am I allowing this to happen? Because I don't know what they're thinking. I'm just making up in my head what they're thinking. And it was always the worst. So I started by saying things like, "Oh, I'm actually having a good hair day," or, "Or man, I've been working out and I look pretty good," or they're admiring how my husband loves me, or they're admiring my kindness. I mean, you come up with a bunch of different things of what you tell yourself. And then about, let's see, I don't know, like 8 years ago, I decided something to call my scars something else, and that is that they are simply God's masterpiece of art. So when
Mm.
you
I
think
love
about
that.
it, if you see art or a statue or something, it makes you have to stop and stare at it. You just do something beautiful and unique. And so mine was an artwork that was created, God created when I walked through fire as a child. And it's so unique, it causes people to stop and to learn something from me. And the learning is more powerful if I can stay at peace and at calm and not be
Mm.
scared, right? Um, and so now I just like, oh, they're just admiring God's handiwork. And now I just move on with my day. And so our mindset is everything. And I love working with clients because I can dig into their story and I can help them flip it and find a definition like that makes them just so it doesn't ruin their life, so they can find their power in those hard moments. And
Mm.
instead of getting angry and defensive and feeling rejected, you got to stand somewhere of power.
Beautiful. And I couldn't agree more. Adversity is a gift, but I really love how you rewrote that as your God's masterpiece. And
Mhm.
people are staring at you because there's something that they need to
Yes.
learn. You
Yes.
can teach them.
Yeah.
And so,
Without saying a word, with just being
without saying a
present.
word,
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, I know without a doubt that any of our listeners listening to your incredible story today are going to be sitting back and thinking about putting on that swimsuit, their
Hmm.
own scars that
Right.
they have in their own lives.
Right.
And so thank you so much for sharing. I know that I have so many questions for you. Like, I just, you know, how many kids do you have?
I have four
Four
kids.
kids.
Hmm.
And what ages?
The oldest is 26 and the youngest is 11. So I have three sons and a daughter. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that is a spread.
Mm.
How do you balance it all? Like, I mean, you're running, your co-founder of your foundation, you're
Yeah.
speaking, you're
Mm.
coaching, you're a
Mm.
mom of four.
Yeah.
What are some of those mindset or, daily non-negotiables that you have that
Mm.
sort of keep you focused and motivated to keep going?
Oh, it's remembering that I need to go into myself and I need to do self-care. For me, it's I love to run. Okay, I don't love to run, but I love how I feel when I'm done on a run. And so that has become a coping tool for me that I started back in college. To offset some of the poor choices I was making at the time, but I still use it today. And my husband's even like, it makes such a difference in how I can approach anything. I also have two kids that live at home right now, both have dyslexia. And so then there's some challenges with school and things like that that I support them through, which they're doing fantastic, but it takes time and intention. And it takes their mom to be at peace, really, to bring my own inner peace to the table. And if I don't run for a few days, my husband's like, yeah, babe, I think you might need to go for a run because he can even tell that it helps me so much just to like stay centered. Because when I'm on a run, that's when I listen to things that calm me. I have my conversations with God without anybody interrupting me. I'm feeding my body some movement, which actually helps to wouldn't think it would, but it really helps slow down my neurological system so I can breathe easier. It's just medicine for me and it works for me. And my biggest advice is find what works for you and do it. Like, don't be reactive. And if you find yourself very reactive, well, if you wouldn't have said that and you wouldn't have done that, no, you have to take ownership and figure out what works for you. So I do a lot of journaling. I love to write. That's another piece. And so I just make sure that have I meditated today? Have I had a quiet prayer time? What do I need? And check in. And if I can give myself 20, 30 minutes a day, the minimum for something for me, I am so much more available emotionally to be there for everyone else around me and to be able to nurture them.
So, a couple things.
Mm,
I do know what you mean about that running. During my 22 days of trial, I took on a goal of running a marathon.
nice. Yes.
And for me, it was a way that it was I only did a 5K before. And yes, I ran, but I never entered a race. So I
Yes.
said, I'm going to run a Honolulu marathon in December, and this was like March. And I put my mind to it, but it was those daily
Yes.
runs. And that was the only time that I actually had on my
Yes.
own. And that thought process that goes through your head, that's your own little world and your own little space that nobody can ever carve into.
Yes.
Um, And
And a
it's
marathon, Monica.
yes,
I've done one marathon. I do half marathons and 5Ks and 10Ks and 5 miles and stuff. But the marathon, like 26.2 miles, let's just like throw that out there. Of consecutive running. You don't get to stop for coffee. You don't even barely get to stop to pee most of the time. Like you just keep going. And so training for that was one of my hardest times too. But I did that. I was going through divorce and my kids were with their dad and I felt very lonely on those times. And I thought, I'm just going to train for a marathon because then when I don't have my kids, I can pour into that. So that was very healing for me too. And then when I was heading into, so I was 43 when I had my youngest. And I was looking ahead. So a couple years after I had her, I wasn't running consistently and I wanted to get healthier. And I was looking at my 50th birthday, which is like such a big number. So when I was 45, I made this goal of running 50 races by the time I was 50. 50
50
competitive.
races.
Yeah, and so I wanted to do 50 races in less than 5 years. So I started training on my 45th birthday, and by the time I was 45 and a half, I did my first race. So 4.5 years, I did 50 races, and my goal was to finish like in the top 20% or whatever. And I made that. I got a lot of first places and things like that. So, but when you set that goal and you stick to it, whatever that is, if racing isn't your thing, don't do it. But whatever it is that keeps, so it had this benefit of actually, I didn't even know I was going to compete for the pageant at that time, but
Mm.
it had this benefit of physically getting me physically ready. So I had more confidence as far as the physical part of me to be able to do that. But it also helped calm my spirit. And so I was in this place of clarity and in this place where I was writing all these programs and so running allowed me to do that. So however you can find your space, and it may just be locking yourself in a room, or it may be, with a candle and a Bible or whatever works for you, but maybe going on a walk and maybe just sitting and meditating. I don't know what everybody's got to find their thing. But running has been super valuable for me and my family appreciates it. And I get to be this great example of taking care of yourself with my kids. And I take them to races and they see me accomplish it. And then they want a piece of that too. So hopefully it's inspiring them as well.
That honestly, listeners, okay, so Miss Colorado 2021, Mrs. Colorado 2021, that wasn't it, but that race component,
Yes.
like 50 races in 5 years, that
Mhm.
is a lot.
Yeah.
And there's I mean, there's a difference between setting a goal and thinking about it.
Mhm.
What's that one word that most people miss? Starts
Perseverance,
with an A,
determination.
action.
You have to lace up.
You
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 have to
actually
do it.
have to
Yeah.
get on the running shoes and get out the door and consistently do the work.
Instead of
And
talking
so,
yourself out of it and going, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it
yeah.
tomorrow. Do it
So
tomorrow.
once you've mastered taking action,
Yes.
I think you can do anything.
Yes. Well, and now here I am. I'm almost 55, which is another big hard number. And so I'm thinking about doing a 60 by 60. So when I say things out loud, then it
It's
might
now you're
happen.
telling the universe, you're telling
Yes.
all of our listeners,
Yes.
60 by 60, Danette.
Yes. Yes.
You've got 5 more years.
Yes. It's easy. It's just I got 5 years to get it done. It's totally fine. It's totally
When
fine.
are you 55?
March. So March. So yeah.
We have sister birthdays, girl. I'm
Oh,
55
really?
in February, February
Look
14th.
at
So
us.
I know exactly what you're feeling about all of these goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And, can I just ask you one question about menopause?
Yes.
Okay. So, as you know, Dr. Vonda, we had her on the Woman of Inspiration podcast, and she's about bone density and taking care of. Anyways,
Right.
the light bulb went on for me
Hmm.
only in February. So, last 2024.
Okay.
How, what could you say to women going through menopause? Like, how has it been for you? Like,
Oh,
are you I feel that this next chapter is the best chapter that I'm walking into. Like, I don't want to be 20 anymore. Like, I am excited to be 50 and I'm looking at the next 50 years with excitement. You?
I couldn't agree more. Um, I am just starting this journey in menopause. And one of the biggest gifts that I was given by my friend Mina, who's all the things to me, but she's a medical professional as well. And she said, you need to read The New Menopause.
Oh,
And do you
okay.
have it?
I have Dr. Marie Claire, and
Oh,
I have
she's
Tamsin
amazing.
Fidel. Then I have Dr. Vonda. Yes, I have, yes,
You
I'm
have
loaded
to,
up with all these girls that are literally using their knowledge and worth to share it with the
yes.
world, which is, it's made
Oh,
incredible differences in the lives of millions of women around the world. Yes.
because what we thought we know or think we know about menopause is just a small piece of the pie, and it could be wrong. And so I would say if you're entering that or getting close to it, just start educating yourself about it because everyone experiences different things. I had vertigo and I thought I didn't know what it was. My doctors didn't know what it was, and here it was very much related to menopause. And
Mm.
all I needed to do a severe vertigo. And so all I had to do was start taking calcium
HRT.
supplements. And well, I had to take vitamin D. I was vitamin D D3 deficient. And so, but that's what I learned from that book. And like all my medical professionals couldn't tell me that. And I started doing that in 2 months. It's been amazing. So I've not had any issues for nearly a year because I got educated. So you got to figure out what your body is experiencing, and then you get to make an informed decision about how you want to supplement HRT. And within that, there's so many options that you need to get with the right professionals in order to make those decisions that are going to be best for you physically, but also best for you mentally and emotionally. So it all sits well with you so that you know you're doing everything in your best to be your best moving forward into the next decades.
Yeah, it's a good time to be a woman in, you know, women's
Yes.
health right now because we are talking about it out loud. We are sharing our stories and
Yes.
we are surrounded by educated women that are now about educating us. So yes, but
Yes.
I have to say that, you know, as a 55-year-old woman, I could have started that whole HRT journey earlier when estrogen started leaving my body. And
Yes.
luckily, we caught it in 54, you know, just
Yeah.
entering menopause.
Hmm.
So anyways, so I know there's lots of listeners that are going to create, that are going to connect up with you on a lot of different levels. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on
Mm.
board. I could talk to you forever. I kind of actually almost forgot we had listeners today.
We've had so
Oops.
much fun. It's so
Sorry,
great.
listeners. We're getting in here deep. But I just want to say thank you so much for
Mm.
joining us on the Women of Inspiration podcast. Your courage and your bravery and your leadership are awe-inspiring, and we are so honored to have you as a woman of inspiration, advocate,
Mm.
and catalyst for change. So that's a title, I hope,
Yes. I love
that
it.
you wear proudly. So, what
I
can
do.
I ask you just before we go? What is your definition of a woman of inspiration, Danette?
I think anybody who's just, I think we all can be a woman of inspiration if we take our own stories and authentically accept them for what they are and carry with it not the pain, but the wisdom. And then we have the courage to share that with other people. I think we all have an opportunity to be inspiring to someone. And if we can intentionally live with that idea that what I've learned along the way can be something to be a handout to someone else who's searching for exactly what I already have, and to not be afraid to share what you know as truth so that you can empower someone else to not have to go through everything you've gone through in order to learn that lesson and just to bravely step out and follow where you're led from your own intuition and to know that that is your path even though people may say it sounds crazy to me. You got to do it anyway, even if it means a swimsuit and heels on a stage. You just have to do it.
And so I love that you're encouraging people to step out into the spotlight,
Mhm.
but that is an uncomfortable zone for so many, as
Mhm.
you know. Once you do it, it's easier to do it and continue
Right.
to do it. Uh, but what does it really feel like to be celebrated as a woman of inspiration and stepping into that spotlight?
The humility part of me has always struggled with I shouldn't put myself out there, or don't make a big deal out of me, or oh, it's really nothing. But I love that it gives me an opportunity to say, yes, I have been. Yes, I have been courageous. Yes, I have done things that people never ever expected me to do. I never even expected me to be able to accomplish it. And to sit into that recognition within myself so that I can then go, but I can do more. What more can I do? And it gives me permission to open up any doors, any limiting beliefs I might have that need to be kicked to the curb next. And so that becomes so powerful to me. I one of the things I like to share is about courage. And oftentimes we think that, oh, I'm not courageous enough. The thing is that courage isn't about having it all together. Courage isn't about, oh yeah, I can do this. Courage is being brave enough just to show your weaknesses. And when you do that, that's when you get stronger. That's when you get more brave. That's when you get more courageous. So it's doing it scared and vulnerable. So when we think, well, I can't do that, I'm not strong enough or courageous enough. Well, of course you're not. But you don't have to be, because courage is really about showing your weakness and just being brave enough to step out, take that first step.
What a beautiful way to wrap up this podcast. And, I love talking about that messy because we don't talk about it enough. And I
Yeah,
think that's the game changer right there.
100%. Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
Let's talk more about the messy. Danette, an absolute pleasure to have you on the Woman of Inspiration podcast. How can people find out more about getting in contact with you,
Mhm.
getting a copy of your book? Um, where would you send them?
Well, my website has it all, Danette at beautyfromashesspeaker.com. And I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook under Danette, Danette Haag, or Danette Beauty from Ashes. Um, yeah, you can find my book, Beauty from Ashes. I have it right here. Let me show you.
Yes,
Got my
yes.
picture on the front, so you can't
Beautiful,
miss it.
beautiful. Actually, it is the M bookshelf. We created the bookshelf
Oh, yay.
because there's so many women's stories that need to be told. And
Amen. Yeah.
so that is one of our Monica's bookshelf
I
picks.
love that. Mm.
So,
Yeah, I
yes.
love it. It's been transformational. We've had great feedback. There's so much I could tell about the book and how I had the courage to write it. My high school teacher, my most brilliant person in my life, helped me write it. And so I leaned into him, and there's a whole story behind that too. But yeah, it's just, I'm so proud of it. Very, very, very proud of it.
Well, I know exactly how much work goes into a book.
Yes. Yes, you do.
And you have a finished one. I'm in the middle of writing one. And whoa, it's not for the faint of heart. It is
It
tough.
is not. It is not. But of all people, you can do it.
Ah, well, thank you for that vote of confidence.
Mhm.
I look forward to the journey ahead. And once again, thank you for joining us on the Woman of Inspiration podcast. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. And if you loved this episode, hit the subscribe, then share this podcast widely with those in your network. Thank you so much, Jeanette.
Mhm.
And I look forward to the journey ahead.
Thanks, Monica.